Welcome, everybody, to the Fanmouth Daily Fantasy Baseball Breakdown for Tuesday, June the 2nd. I'm Joe Marsh, joined today by Dave Del Grande and Jeff Collins. How you fellas doing today?
Hey, what's up?
I'm doing great, thanks.
All right, we got a small slate, only 8 games going on today. Not a ton of excitement. Going to go through all the games, going to tell you who we like position by position. As we always do, we're using Fanmouth prices and Fanmouth scoring. And we'll start off with pitcher. I think today there's a couple good low-priced options. I think Charlie Morton's in play today. He's been solid. He's given up 2 earned runs or less in 5 of his last 6 starts. He's facing the Padres today, who are hitting 226 against righties, hitting 235 at home. That's definitely a good pitcher's park. I think he's got a shot to pitch a very good game today. Another good low-price option that I like is David Phelps. He hasn't allowed a run at home this year. It's only 1 start and 4 relief appearances. But he's also struck out 11 over 9 in the 3rd innings. He's allowing a 177 batting average to lefties. Seattle's offense has a lot of lefties in their lineup. And the Mariners are hitting 227 against righties. Again, that's another good offense that you can take advantage of with a low-priced pitcher. However, there's not a ton of places that I'm going to be spending money today. There's not a lot of great matchups. I'll spend some money in the outfield. I think there's money to be saved on the infield. So I may end up using like a Clayton Kershaw just because I will have the money left. It's not the best matchup against the White Sox. But again, small slate, not a ton of high-priced players. If I have a lot of money left over, I may spend it on Kershaw just because I can. Jeff, what do you think of pitcher?
I think I'm spending money. I think Kershaw's the obvious way to go. That's a guy you need to plug in as your first guy, just based on how well he's doing in the limited amount of innings that he's getting and the matchup today. I think the matchup is incredible. And even though he's probably not going to go further than 7 innings, he hasn't all year. He has the potential for double-digit strikeouts, especially in a matchup like this against the White Sox, who have struck out way more than any other team in the league. So great matchup for him, guy you have to plug in. Then from there, I could see you not spending on Felix Hernandez, though I'm not worried about the matchup. Everyone hears Yankees and thinks, oh, man, they're a powerful offense, but really they're middle of the pack. They strike out about averagely, and they hit for average, too. I mean, it's just they're a middle-of-the-road team that I'm not worried about at all. Felix should be able to get some strikeouts there. And then from there, it's like, yeah, you could go with the top 2 guys, and I think that's the safest way to go today. But if you did want to throw in a Charlie Morton like you're talking about, the matchup and the price totally justify that, so that's not a bad way to go there. Bartolo Colon is in play also. I think out of those guys, the guys you mentioned, David Phelps would be the one I shied away from. I don't know, he just doesn't bring enough for me. Not a guy that I could see really going too deep into a game. I think he's good for about 5 innings today and giving up 2-3 runs with 6 strikeouts. So that's good for his price, but I think you've got a couple other guys in that range that are a little better options than him.
All right. Dave, did we leave anything for you to talk about?
No, in fact, you hit on both my guys. You know me, I'm looking for the best matchups against the weakest hitting teams, and Jeff mentioned them both. Actually, Joe, you got the ball rolling there. I think Morton's matchup against San Diego and Colon's matchup against the Phillies are real good. I mean, the only negative I would say about those games is that they're both on the road. Neither opponent is pitching a very good pitcher. Neither opponent hits the ball very well against right-handers. And both the pitchers are going well, especially Morton. So their prices are a little higher than I would like ideally, but they're still they're below average. So I'm going to go with both of them. I see. I mean, Kershaw to me, like Jeff said, I think is a somewhat obvious play, but I see 2 negatives there, small ones, mind you. But one is that Abreu is supposed to be back tonight for the White Sox, so I think that makes a bit of a difference. And secondly, Quintana has actually outpitched Kershaw in my mind in the month of May. He's really pitched well. I mean, you could argue that Quintana should be the choice pitching tonight against the Dodgers team, the worst team in the league, hitting left-handed pitching, and Quintana's pitching well. But I don't like when 2 good pitchers are going up against each other, so I'll stay away from both of them. So I'm happy with Colon and with Morton.
Okay. Moving over to catcher, Dave, since you went last, who do you like over here?
Well, I think there are two matchups based on the numbers that I like tonight. One is the Red Sox against Masterson, especially the Red Sox left-handed hitters, and the Pirates against Stouffer tonight, especially the Pirates right-handed hitters. And both of them, we have a catcher with both of those qualifications. Pierzynski, nice left-handed hitting catcher, and Martin, decent right-handed hitting catcher. So I like both of them. I'm going to go with my number one choice is going to be the Red Sox when everything else is equal. So I'm going to go with Pierzynski here.
Jeff?
I think the most attractive stack today, although I do think Pittsburgh is a nice sneaky stack, I'm glad that Dave brought them up. But I think the other one, the more obvious one, is the Brewers today. And for that reason, I think Lucroy is the way to go at catcher. Really, catcher is ugly today. When you're talking about having to roster guys like Russell Martin, I mean, that is ugly. I'd much prefer a Lucroy. You've got the top guy, in my opinion, Brian McCann, going against a pitcher that I'm probably going to throw out there, so he's out of play. But I think Lucroy gives you close to as much upside for right around the same price.
Yeah, I actually agree with both of you. Jeff, I agree with you on the Brewers that I'm stacking today, however, not Lucroy. Dave, I agree with you on both catchers. Pierzynski, you want to get your lefties in there against Masterson. He's not been good against lefties. Pierzynski has been hitting great lately. But I think Martin's a bit of a better play. Again, this will come down to, at the end, the catcher is going to be the position I set last. If I have enough money for Pierzynski, I'll go for him. If not, I have no problems going with Martin. So you look at Stouffer, he's allowing a 327 average to right-handers. Martin's been hitting well since he's been back. He's 6 for 21 with a home run. Hits 274 versus righties. So I'm very comfortable playing him there tonight. Moving over to first base, Jeff, who do you like over there?
Again, this is going to get repetitive, but I think Mark Reynolds is the way to go. Another Brewer, a guy with some pop in this lineup, expecting the Brewers to score a lot of runs here. And again, first base just not really exciting for me. Usually first base is a position that you can really find multiple options that you want to get in. You want to slide one at utility. But there are only a couple guys I considered. Mark Reynolds, one being the guy I decided on. Another guy that I considered but can't go with is Adam Dunn. Going against Kershaw, he has the BVP. He has like eight hits and 13 at-bats, and 4 of them are home runs or something like that, something really close to that. So Adam Dunn would be the way you're going to go if you're going to go with BVP, but at the same time, if you're throwing Clayton Kershaw out there, it's a little counterproductive. So I think I'm going to roll the dice against the BVP today and sit Dunn, go with Mark Reynolds.
Yeah, I'm with you. I was actually thinking, Lyle Overbay, if he's in the lineup today. Gibson's a bit better against righties than lefties. So Overbay, if he's in the lineup, could be the choice. If not, Reynolds is a perfectly good choice. And then I was thinking Adam Dunn. This is a huge risk. You look at, he does not hit well against lefties. He hits, under 200. Kershaw gives up a batting average under 200 to lefties, but the BVP is there, 8 for 13 with 4 home runs. That's a very risky play. That's a roll of the dice. I think someone like a Ryan Howard is a safer pick. The other problem you face is Abreu's back today, and they're playing in LA, which means if Abreu's playing first base, they could either put Dunn in left field or not have him in the lineup at all. So I'll wait till lineups are out. If Dunn is in the lineup, which I'm not sure he will be, he definitely is an interesting option, more of a high-risk option.
Well, and here's the thing about that. I saw this on Twitter. Take it for what it's worth. I believe credit it to Dan Bach, but I guess Kershaw's been saying how he hates facing Adam Dunn more than any other hitter. So in that type of situation where you're getting press leading up to it and everything, it'd be pretty shocking for the manager to be like, yep, go ahead, Adam Dunn, you're sitting today.
Yeah, I was wondering if the managers even look at, if he's going to look at that, what he's going to look at when he sees that BVP. Is he going to take the sample size with a grain of salt? Is he going to think, hey, I need to get Adam Dunn in the lineup today, or maybe have Abreu pinch hit his first game back? I'm not exactly sure.
Most managers love BVP, which is weird because most DFS players do not love BVP. So it's like very backwards. But
all right, let's invite Dave into this conversation.
Okay.
Dave, what do you think?
Well, one thing is that I'm not so anxious to be jumping against Gibson today. Gibson, for the month of May, so big sample size, has the third best whip of all the pitchers going today. And 119. And Joe, you mentioned he's a little better against lefties than against righties. Yeah, I'll say 211 batting average against righties. That I don't want a right-handed hitter going against him. He's a hot pitcher. He gets righties out, so I'm definitely not considering any righties against him tonight. I do agree with the general consensus here that first base is very weak. I think Ortiz is the standout among the quote-unquote first baseman, but on Fanmouth, you can't even get him at first base. You get him at utility, which is where I'll play him. So we'll add him to the discussion here. My pick at first base is going to be Gabby Sanchez. I mentioned already the matchup of Pittsburgh righties against Stouffer. He is one of these guys. He does hit right-handers pretty well. And like I said, at a position where I'm not crazy, doesn't like anybody on our panel here is real crazy about anybody. He'll be a fairly low-priced option that I'll go with.
Okay, Jeff, what do you think of second base?
I can't say another Brewer, right? I mean, I think Scooter Gennett is the way to go. Dave talked about Kyle Gibson's numbers in the last month, but how about over the year and how about over his career? Over the year they're awful. He has a 4.18 ERA, a 1.38 WHIP, and that's better than his career averages. So whether he's had a good lucky couple starts, as a pitcher, you don't get that many starts over a month. It's a really small sample size. I think Kyle Gibson is an extremely weak pitcher at this point in his career, and I'm very comfortable attacking him with both righties and lefties. Lefties are a little better, but I'll take the righties as well. So Scooter Gennett, again, another really low-priced guy. That will be probably, until we get into the outfield, that'll be the last Brewer I mentioned.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm not terribly scared of him. I did look at the 211 batting average. I went with the Brewers' high-powered righties in the outfield, where I'm not too worried about them facing a Kyle Gibson, especially with his 7.77 ERA on the road. I'm not sure how that equates to someone who you don't want to face. And Gennett, 5 hits in his last 7 at-bats. He's starting to come around. He's a guy I like. I think, perfectly acceptable low-end option. You want to spend a bit more. Chase Utley, hitting 336 against lefties, 28 for his last 87. And facing Cologne. Cologne's got a 6.51 ERA on the road. I know he was good in his last start, but you never know really what you're going to get with Bartolo. I think you guys like him a bit pitching, but I don't mind getting a few Phillies in against him. Dave?
Well, something you said earlier, Joe, about not finding a lot of high-priced guys to go with today, and I agree with you, especially in the infield. Second base is another position where if I were looking to spend money, I'd probably go with Cano back at Yankee Stadium against Phelps, but I don't know. It's on a normal day, I wouldn't want to spend that kind of price on a guy like this. I think the guy I'll go with at second base here is Dietrich of the Marlins. They're facing Cobb today. Cobb has pitched well at home. He's pitched terribly on the road. He does not get out left-handers particularly well, and so I'll look again to save a little bit of money here and give you Dietrich at second base.
Yeah, I'm with you on the infield. I don't think there's a ton of places where you really need to spend a lot of money. I think there are good lower price options. Again, leads to the strategy, spending a lot of pitchers, spending a lot in the outfield. Over at third base, how about Evan Longoria? This is mostly a price play. He's the 9th highest priced third baseman on an 8-game slate. He hasn't been great this year, but he's starting to come around. He's got 10 hits in his last 14 games. He's facing Wolf, who's a weak lefty, 5.14 ERA at home, giving up a 2.94 average to righties. Why not take a guy, he's good in his career against lefties. Again, hasn't been great this year, but why not take a guy with his skills, at that price? I think it's a real price play today. Dave, what do you think at third base?
I like a third baseman here. I like David Wright of the Mets. He's been a hot hitter. Now, he hits left-handers a lot better than right-handers, and he's facing a righty today. But you could argue that Philadelphia's Hernandez, is the weakest pitcher going today. He does not have good numbers against right-handers. And so I think he got a hot hitter against a fairly weak pitcher. So that's where I'm going to go today. Spend a little money at third base and give you David Wright.
Jeff, third base.
Man, I thought Dave was going to say Pedro Alvarez because he likes his Pirates today. I think we both do. But yeah, that's the direction I want to go. What they're doing with Alvarez is basically telling him, hey, you can, you don't have to face the lefties, just face the righties, because he is awful against lefties, and those are really bringing his numbers down. But this is a guy with a lot of pop. Yes, it's at Petco in San Diego, but this is a guy that when he gets hot, I mean, he's like a Giancarlo Stanton, where he can hit it out of any park, and you don't really have to worry about park size with him. So I think it's a good spot for him. Going to be picking on Stouffer today, and he's going to be one of the guys that used to do it.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking about Alvarez. I was thinking, Stouffer for one is a bit better against lefties than righties, but also, yeah, Petco's coming. Pedro's an all or nothing guy, so that kind of steered me away from him. What about shortstop, Jeff?
Shortstop's got to be a punt for me. Going with whoever Minnesota starts at shortstop probably, because those guys are so cheap. You're looking at Eduardo Escobar is probably going to get the start at 4,800. He's a guy that I usually look to when I'm trying to punt the position, because I want to get a couple of that high-priced guys in the outfield. And it looks like I'm probably going expensive at pitcher. Definitely, probably. So yeah, I'm punting there and going to look at the lineup, but probably going with Escobar.
All right, Dave.
Well, I'm going to try to get a couple of St. Louis right-handed hitters in there against Duffy today. One of them plays shortstop. Peralta's a nice power-hitting shortstop, a modest price guy, and a lineup of shortstops that I'm not really crazy about today either. He's going to be my top choice at shortstop.
Yeah, I'm with you on Peralta. Hits well, against righties. A lot of power. I think all his home runs this year have come against righties. Or you can go, Hanley Ramirez if you've got the money. He's got, hits lefties well. 3 homers and 44 at bats. 6 home runs at home. 291 batting average at home. And he's swinging the bat well. He's 7 for his last 15 with 2 homers. Was 4 for 4 the other day with a 2 home run game. So that's another way you can go if you want to spend the money. All right, and then moving to the outfield. This is where I think there are the best plays. A lot of good stuff. For the Brewers, you can go Braun, you can go Gomez. I like Gomez a bit better, hitting .325 with 7 home runs against righties. Again, attacking Gibson, not that great on the road. Yasiel Puig gives you a tremendous floor. He has a hit in 28 of his last 30 games. Doesn't matter who's pitching. I've talked about him, the way he's hitting right now. He's matchup proof, and again, a high floor guy getting you points no matter what. Scott Van Slyke, if he's in the lineup, is an interesting option for a low end guy. He's got 4 home runs and 38 at bats against lefties. Check to see if he's in the lineup. And then for your guys, for your Pirates over there, Josh Harrison, again, facing Stouffer, giving up a .327 average to right. I think Harrison's a good cheap option you can plug in there. Dave, what do you like in the outfield?
Well, I've got a lot of money to spend here, so I think you guys are talking me into Gomez. I've not been on his bandwagon this year, and I probably should have been because he's having a very good season. But to me, the top 2 outfielders today are the 2 obvious choices in my mind are Stanton and McCutchen. Stanton's going to be my home run choice. Cobb, as I've mentioned before, is a lot better pitcher at home than he is on the road. McCutchen's another one of these righties facing Stouffer tonight, which I want. I'll go ahead and I think I'm going to have enough money to go with Gomez as well as my third outfielder. Although others I would consider. I mentioned a couple of the Cardinals right-handers today against Duffy. Holiday and Craig are 2 outstanding options there. And I have some lower priced options, but I'm not going to have to head in that direction. So I'm going to pick between those 5. Probably go with the first 3 I mentioned, Gomez and definitely Stanton and McCutchen.
Jeff, anybody else in the outfield?
Yeah, you guys left me some guys this time. That's cool. A couple guys that you talked about. McCutchen is definitely on my radar. That'll be a guy that I'm looking to spend on, and then Gomez as well. One more time, I'll go back to Kyle Gibson, breaking down his stats for the month. He against the good teams, he pitched really poorly. San Francisco and Detroit gave up 11 earned runs combined, and against the poor teams, he did really well. Texas, Seattle, and Cleveland. So you're looking at a really high-powered offense that he should do poorly again, I think, even if you're worried about the last month's success. So that being said, Gomez is the guy that you want over Braun, I would say. And then some matchup plays. I think Dave mentioned Craig. He's a great one against lefties, and Sean Rodriguez against lefties is another good one. James Jones leading off and Josh Harrison leading off, both guys that are really cheap that you can get in there. Oscar Taveras, his price isn't where it's going to be at some point this year. This is one of the highest touted prospects in baseball, and he's playing at home against Kansas City for $6,000. You can get him in your lineup. So there's a nice mix of really good bargains with Jones, Harrison, Taveras, all 6K or lower, and then really nice high-price options like McCutchen and Gomez. I think that there's a lot of flexibility there, so maybe fill out your other positions first and see what you're left with in the outfield. Don't make it a huge priority. All
right. That wraps it up for all the positions. We'll go ahead and give you a final word on lineup building. For me, I'll probably spend on one pitcher just because I don't think I need to spend a lot on the infield, and that'll be Kershaw. I think pairing him with Morton at San Diego is a good option. Again, the position I think I'll fill in last is catcher because I think there's two good options. If I have money, I'll go with Pierzynski. If not, I'll go with Martin. Good money-saving options on the infield. I think Jeanette, Longoria, Peralta are all very solid plays. You can play them, have plenty of money for pitching and outfield, and then go big in the outfield. You can go with a Gomez, a Puig, and a Stanton. I think you've got a pretty solid lineup there. Jeff, final word?
I talked about it a little bit. Make sure you put a priority on getting the guys that you want on the infield, and I think you'll have enough options in the outfield that you'll feel comfortable with what you end up with. There's nice ways to save everywhere today, so if you want to spend on pitching, you can. Kershaw and Hernandez is the safest way to go. Yes, there are other directions that you could be comfortable with. I don't mind you saving $7,000-8,000 and going from Felix Hernandez to a Charlie Morton, but at the same time, it's a little more risky, so you have to be really comfortable with your position players. But really don't mind spending on pitching today.
All right, Dave, final word.
Yeah, and as we've talked about here, there are not a whole lot of really good high-priced players going, especially in the infield. So today would be the day of all days to go with Felix Hernandez and to go with Kershaw. And I still think you could put a decent lineup, relatively speaking, on the field hitting-wise. Now that's not the way I usually play this game. It's not the way I would play it today either, but of all days, I think you could make a very solid case to go ahead and play it that way. I'm going to stick by what I've been using lately, and that is picking on the weakest hitting teams who aren't pitching an elite pitcher, and Philadelphia today is certainly one of these teams with Hernandez pitching. I think he's, as I said, I think he's one of the weakest pitchers going, so I like the matchup of Cologne against the Phillies team that doesn't hit well. And same thing with San Diego with Stover pitching tonight. You've got a weak pitcher on a weak hitting team, so I think Morton matches up well with them. Now, if you throw those two pitchers in there, then you get, for the most part, your pick of the litter. Certainly 4 or 5 real heavyweight hitters. You can have an outfield of Gomez going with Stanton and with McCutchen, still get David Ortiz and David Wright in the lineup as well. So that's the direction I'm going to go in today.
Okay, Dave's sticking with his guns over there. That wraps it up for today. We will be back tomorrow. In the meantime, you can check us out on Twitter at PlayFanmouth. You can see our full rankings at blog.fanmouth.com. Thank you very much.